over 200 years, there have been reports of giant man-like creatures roaming the vast mountain regions of the Pacific Northwest and Canada. Hundreds of people have encountered these creatures the Indians call Sasquatch. In 1958, newspapers began to publish these stories in which the press called these creatures Bigfoot. And by the early 1960s, the first full-scale expeditions were underway. Bigfoot was attracting national attention and was now rapidly becoming the most intriguing mystery on the North American continent. The most significant find to date is the famous Roger Patterson film taken in 1967. Patterson searched for Sasquatch for years. On October 20th, 1967, near Bluff Creek in Northern California, he encountered the creature and took these 16-millimeter pictures. Scientists and photography experts have examined the individual frames of this film and have come to the conclusion that the film and the creature are authentic. The first pictures ever taken of a Sasquatch. This film gained international attention, and with it came the most comprehensive research effort ever undertaken. Under the supervision of North American Wildlife Research Center, investigators began feeding data into computers. After months of computerized research on behavioral patterns, migratory movement, and eyewitness descriptions, the computer began answering the many questions surrounding these mysterious creatures. By programming information from hundreds of sightings, the computer drew us a picture of Bigfoot. It corresponded with the Patterson film. Researchers have believed that in some remote wilderness where man has never been, these creatures are living in complete solitude. The computers have now pinpointed this area, and here at North American Wildlife Research, we have organized and financed an expedition to search this unexplored area in hopes of capturing a Sasquatch. The final destination of this expedition is north of the river the Indians call the Pecatow, in a primitive part of northern British Columbia. We are taking the latest and most sophisticated equipment: tranquilizer guns, electronic gear, and sniper scopes. If we capture a Sasquatch, we will implant a small transmitter and release the creature so that it can be traced by radio and studied scientifically.
Deep in the heart of the vast wilderness of the Pacific Northwest and Canada, a legend extends back into the spoken history of the earliest Indian tribes. This legend is about the mysterious giant creatures that inhabit these forests. The description of these creatures by those who have seen them gives one the uneasy feeling that somewhere, roaming free and wild in these deep, dark valleys, is a living, breathing reminder of mankind's prehistoric past. This is the legend of the Sasquatch. Today, this legend continues to be told in the Northwest by many responsible people who have reported sightings and encounters with Bigfoot. Because man has never been able to capture a Sasquatch, this creature has become the world's most intriguing mystery. To these men, and to me, the Sasquatch is serious business. This is the beginning of one of the most extensive expeditions ever organized to search the rugged, uncharted country of British Columbia for Sasquatch. It is the hope of all of us on this expedition to prove once and for all that the Sasquatch legend is true. I'm Chuck Evans, the leader of this expedition. I'm the chief investigator for the North American Wildlife Research Center. The man I'm talking to is one of the most distinguished anthropologists in the world, and my good friend, Dr. Paul Markham. He has done extensive research into the Bigfoot phenomena and he's now one of the leading authorities on Sasquatch. He has helped plan and outfit this expedition, and he's organized this base camp.
Coffee?
We are now in the last phases of our preparations and hope to shove off sometime this morning.
Hey! When did you get in?
We got in yesterday. Had quite a trip over those mountains.
Hank Parshall is an Idaho rancher and one of the country's leading experts on tracking dogs. Because of his keen interest in Sasquatch, he has volunteered his horses, dogs, and time for this expedition. Hank first heard of Sasquatch when he was a small boy, and throughout his life he's talked to many people who claim to have seen one. One of the most colorful characters of this expedition is Joshua Aloysius Bigsby. Josh has been a fixture around the Northwest since the turn of the century. He claims to be at least 80 years old, but no one knows for sure. Not even Josh himself. He's probably the last of the mountain men. He knows every trail in these mountains, and so does his faithful mule, Zeb. Josh is important to this expedition because he is the only one who knows the way to the Pecatow River. From there, Tekka Blackhawk will guide us.
Mr. Evans, thank you.
Your knowledge of the land beyond the Pecatow River is crucial. It's a relief to have you here.
Well, it's a pleasure to be on this trip.
Have you had a chance to work the dogs? Tekka is a graduate from the University of British Columbia and comes from one of the largest Indian tribes in northern Canada.
I'm north of
His Indian background and knowledge of the Sasquatch legends make him one of the most critical members of our expedition. And there's Barney Snipe. He's our camp cook. He's a crack shot with a rifle and an excellent woodsman. He's a little clumsy, but his coffee isn't bad.
Get a hand over here.
I'm Chuck Evans. Bob Vernon, National News Service.
Has Dr. Markham gotten you squared away?
Yes, and that horse Hank Parshall introduced me to kicked me in the knee 2 seconds after I met him.
I'm glad it wasn't more serious. They tell me that you don't see the point of this expedition.
That's right. I don't believe in Bigfoot. I'm here because I'm good at my job and the pay's good enough to make it all seem practical, if not desirable. I'd much rather be back on the streets in New York City where the enemy is visible and real instead of chasing some mythological boogeyman in the woods.
Can we see you over at Central, Chuck?
Be right there, Paul. Bob Vernon is a reporter for a major news service assigned to do a story on our expedition. Although he's a thorough skeptic, he is an honest writer. But his negative attitude disturbs me.
Hank, are you about ready?
As soon as Dr. Markham finishes packing his last piece of equipment, I'll be ready.
Good. I'll go see if I can give him a hand. In the meantime, go ahead and line him up. Paul, can I give you a hand?
No, thanks, Chuck. I just about got it.
Well, Hank is ready when you are.
Okay, I'll be ready in a moment.
Vernon, you about ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. This wilderness we're going to can't possibly be as primitive as all these elaborate preparations make it seem.
Well, just hang in there. You may be in for a few surprises. Hey, Josh, move him out. Take it easy. Remember, we don't know this place as well as you do.
By late morning, the pack train and animals were loaded, and we pulled out, with old Josh leading the way. We are taking the best in equipment and supplies. And I feel especially pleased that Hank is bringing his finest tracking dog. The dogs are German Shepherds, trained and selected specifically for this expedition. Unlike hounds, they track silent and will not bark or betray their presence until their quarry is cornered.
There he goes.
happy to be on our way. But as the chopper buzzed us a last goodbye, we realized that we were leaving our families and civilization behind. It will be weeks before we are resupplied by parachute. After the feverish activity of the last week, the first 2 or 3 days out into the wilderness seemed a welcome relief. The temperature was a mild 70 degrees in the soft air of early June. The skies were a deep Prussian blue. Everyone had the feeling of oneness with nature that comes to all who lose themselves in the Pacific Northwest. It was early summer in the high country, the best time of the year. Nurses her pups until a nosy badger comes too close for comfort. Our expedition was scheduled to last until late fall, until we found the habitat of the elusive Sasquatch. We would search for months in this wilderness of British Columbia, checking the valleys, the mountains, and high country, crisscrossing the hundreds of square miles of trackless forest, seeking a trace of these legendary creatures of North America. We rode through this beautiful land of mountains and valleys for the first weeks, camping each night by some mountain stream. We were to pass many beautiful lakes and mountains and cross hundreds of streams. And later there would be a river to cross that none of us would ever forget. unspoken consent, the journey was quiet as we traveled through the forest. We did not want to advertise our presence, and it was quite an experience to watch the wildlife on every side as we plunged deeper and deeper into this primitive country. We had been climbing steadily since our departure, and everyone now enjoyed the magnificent scenery that lay in front of us.
Well, Vernon, have you ever seen anything so beautiful?
No. Never. I've hiked a lot of trails and climbed some spectacular peaks, but I've never seen anything like this.
Hold it a minute, fellas. Look at here. What is it? Bring your binoculars.
Hey, it's Smokey the Bear.
Oh, it's a grizzly. It's the most ornery animal there is. We have to put out somebody up ahead because it might double back on us.
I thought cougars were more dangerous than bears.
No, a grizzly is the most dangerous and unpredictable animal there is. A cougar will never attack a man unless he's so darn old he can't catch anything else.
That bear doesn't look all that dangerous to me.
Don't count on the way he looks from way up here. You know, a couple of old miner friends of mine were killed right now here by a grizzly.
Well, Bob, are you getting pictures that you like? Yes.
Okay, you guys. Cheese and salami on the last of the store-bought bread.
Oh, I don't know. That fricassee mountain rat we had last night wasn't bad.
Well, get mountain rat. Well, I've had worse. I remember back in 05 when we was caught in the back country, not to eat except gopher. You ever had gopher, fellers? Well, it ain't the best in the world, and again, it ain't the worst either.
And Josh ought to know.
Josh,